So yeah, I made a commitment in the last video to keep you guys updated with the whole Nasdaq uplisting situation. So in the first part of the video, I want to give you a brief update on where they're at in the process and what it basically means. And then in the second part of the video, I want to actually give you guys some information on what to potentially expect when it actually does uplist. So in terms of financial gain, in terms of percentage return, what to basically expect that could happen. And I'm going to give you some scenarios where it's gone really, really well and some scenarios when it's been okay, just so you guys can have a kind of measured and balanced view, just to not, gash you up a little bit too much. Yeah, let's get into this. What you can see on your screen is someone that's gone and DM'd Alpine, and they've basically said, hello, I'm a current shareholder. What's really good? Tell me what's happening with the whole Nasdaq uplisting situation. And Nasdaq has responded, Alpine has responded. We are waiting on the Nasdaq to finish their work. That is the final step. Any further updates will be made when it's legal and appropriate, which is of course correct. Now, in my previous video, which you can see here, I did a video on Alpine flying to the Nasdaq. Let me zoom that in so you can see this video. I mentioned the 4 steps that Alpine has to take in order to get approved to go onto the Nasdaq. So the first thing they got to do is effectuate a share increase with the state of Delaware. That's done. That share increase has been done, and that's all been agreed. Then they've got to get it signed off by both FINRA and the SEC. So that's step 2 and step 3. Both of those 2 things have also been done. And then the last thing is to get it approved by Nasdaq and then to effectively get a date. So we are at the last of 4 steps. If you're thinking of a relay race, we're on the final leg of the relay race. And, Alpine isn't about to drop the baton now. There's nothing they can really do on their end. It's all about the Nasdaq approving it on their side. Now, the Nasdaq can come back with queries. They're well within their rights to do so. So they might say, you know what, we need another statement of this, or this isn't so clear to us. Can you clear this up? So there is potentially going to be some back and forth. But we're on the last step. And sooner or later, we will be seeing Alpine effectively go into the Nasdaq. So it got me thinking, it got me hypothesizing what to potentially expect with Alpine going to the Nasdaq. And I came across this article of a company called Novo Integrated Sciences, and their shares rise 600% after the company uplists to the Nasdaq. You can see that this is a 2021 article, February the 24th. And it's relatively recent. So what you can basically see here is that Novo Integrated Sciences was an OTC QB stock, and then it got an agreement to go onto the Nasdaq, and their date was on February the 23rd, where it got approved to be on the Nasdaq capital market. And what you can basically see here is that when I actually refresh that and get that off my screen, I'm going to leave page and come back, and hopefully it's all right. So what you can basically see here, I'm on a daily view on trading view, and you can see that February the 23rd, you can see what 22nd where it is, sorry. You can see it's at what, $4 or something along those lines. And then 23rd, you can see it was at, what's that? Yeah, $4.52. And then obviously the 24th, you can see that it was a high of $14.97, and then it dropped lower. In fact, if you actually go to the hourly view, for some reason you could see that it was even higher, like at $29, and it started to drop. Now, obviously, it shows that within this specific stock, people started to sell off. Every stock is different. Each company is different. They have different business models. People have different goals and ambitions when they invest in certain companies. I don't really know the history of this company. I've never looked into it at all. I've just seen this from an article perspective. So I don't really know why people sold off that much. Maybe people were taking profit. Maybe people have been in it for years. I don't really know the situation. However, I don't think that's the case with Alpine. I don't think people are just going to sell off on day one. You will have probably some people selling, but I doubt it's going to be this level of selling, because, when you remind yourself of what Alpine have mentioned to shareholders, they want this stock to effectively be producing dividends at some stage in the future. That means the market cap has to increase significantly to do so. And if that happens, then obviously the share price is going to be increased differently. Also, the actual industry that Alpine is in, when you talk about the defense, the drones, the aircrafts that they're in, I feel like a lot of the industries that they're actually in are actually growing industries, and they're making more and more acquisitions. So with each acquisition Alpine makes, you're effectively strengthening the balance sheet and making a stronger company with stronger revenues and stronger earnings in the long run. So, for me, Alpine is a bit of a unique case where I predict that the stock will continue to rise. Will it have dips? Of course. Maybe it has significant dips on the first day, but I don't know the history of this company and why it obviously performed that way. But you can see it's been at much more previous highs, even at the on the OTC market. So it's a different company in general. I think Alpine's going to have the inverse performance. It's been very, very low, as it's been a 4p penny stock not too long ago. And I think it's definitely going to go in the right direction. Will it go 600% on first day? Doubt it. But you never know. However, what I wanted to show you is this article where someone on the board sent this to me. So shout out to you for giving me this article, which actually shows a bit more of a measured approach in terms of uplisting power. And what you can basically see here is that on average, this investigation, this piece of analysis that this person does, granted, it was in 2016, but they did a piece of analysis on like 20 stocks. And there was a 25% increase on the day that obviously it uplisted, which I think is a more measured approach to kind of look at it. So I can see that jump definitely happening. And then what it did, it shows you all of the stocks. It shows you the uplist date, obviously. And then it shows you that on uplist, how much it gained. So you can see that this stock went up 30%. This stock went up 30%. This stock was flat. This stock went up 10%. This stock was flat. This stock went up 100%. Flat, up, flat. 30%, 100%. The key trend here is none of them actually went down in value. They either all remained flat or they went up to 100%, with the majority of them nestling around the 30% mark, which is, again, a good indication. Then, with this set of stocks, you can see that, again, flat, 100%, 100%, 50%, flat, 30%, 30%, 30%, flat, 25% flat, 25% flat, 25%. So, again, none of them lost value. They all either maintained at the value they were at the time of uplisting, or they went up all the way up to 100%, with probably the average being around, I'd say, 50% when you consider there's a couple of 100%, a couple 30%, 25%. Yeah, so the average probably being around, the 45%, 50% mark. And then a similar direction here, you can see that there was one stock that went down. This stock went up 300%, another stock went down, another stock went down, and another stock went down. But every other stock was either flat, 100%, 50%, 30%, 25%, 300%, 50%, 100%. Sound like I'm trying to rap or something, 100%. Do you know what I mean? Like, they all just went up, basically, apart from a few of them. So, the thing for me personally is that there is a strong correlation with stocks going up when they uplist in Nasdaq. And that's for all of the reasons we mentioned in the previous video. We talked about the institutional investors, we talked about the hedge funds, we talked about the ETFs, index funds and the pensions and so forth. We talked about the fact that, there's a lot more people that can get access to these stocks because certain brokers don't allow access to OTC stocks. And now you've got, for example, Webull that have another 11 million customers that can potentially buy Alpine as well. Then obviously you've got Robinhood with the amount of millions of customers they've got, and obviously many brokers around the world as well. So, being on the Nasdaq just has a certain cachet, a certain level of credibility. And the reason why I bought Alpine is the same approach as I've always mentioned that I would do if I was going to buy a Netflix. I looked at the history, I looked at the revenues, I looked at the earnings, I looked at the fundamentals, I looked at their business plan, their business model, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to achieve. Are their industries growing? Are they growing industries? Are they well diversified in terms of their different revenue streams? And because they're a holding company, they naturally hit that sort of metric. And there was just so many things about the company that just felt, I'm not going to put that much into it, but there's a good chance that this stock could do well. And obviously the rest is history. So listen, the Nasdaq uplisting is coming soon. I strongly believe it. If you're going to ask me for a date, obviously I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I'm just some random guy talking about stocks, so I have no idea when the date is. I probably would say and venture a guess it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. But if I'm wrong, I don't even care, to be honest. I really don't care if I'm wrong. It might be a month. It might be 3 weeks. It might be 2 weeks. Could be next week. I don't really know. But all I know is that I definitely believe it's going to happen. I strongly feel it's going to happen. And I think when it happens, it's definitely going to be advantageous to all of you guys that have invested into this out there. So if you do have the ability to get into Alpine now, I still strongly believe it's a good long-term stock to hold. And even if it doesn't do well on uplisting, like let's say it doesn't do well, let's say it's one of those freaky stocks that just happens to crash and go down, then I just look at the fundamentals and the fundamentals of the stock and the industries that it's in and what the different businesses that it owns, the subsidiaries that it owns are trying to achieve. That alone, I think, is going to take the stock much further forward in the future. So I would just personally see that as a buying opportunity. So yeah, hopefully you found this video useful. Like, comment, subscribe. Preemarket, I'm out.